Okay, we're here with Coach Derek Brendo in the Troy Service Center Coach's Corner. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, no problem. Like doing it finally.
Yeah, talking about that, interesting season here. You were told you weren't playing, and then all of a sudden you were playing, and how has that affected, I guess, your preparation for the season and the mindset of the kids coming in?
Yeah, that was tough. We were obviously disappointed in August when the high school league said we couldn't play football. So we put out to the kids, go do other things, go try cross country, soccer, hunt, go on trips, whatever. And my coaches were doing the same thing. We were all over the place. I had personal plans set up, and within a few days, really went from nothing. And we're thinking, I don't have to, as a coach, I'm not planning anything until March. I got a few months to get this figured out. And within a few days, I think Thursday was when we first heard it, and Monday we were practicing of some sort. So that was really difficult. And then also, it was difficult trying to get teams together of who's having a middle school. Are we going to have middle school? Who's having C teams and B teams? And doing that in such a short amount of time was very difficult. So the only thing we kept saying is, I think all the schools are in the same boat. So it wasn't ideal by any means, but I think it was equitable, you'd say. I think all the schools had to deal with the same issue.
So, the later season like this, obviously snow now is an issue and things like that. But, as you started practice, as you started going, how has COVID impacted the team overall in terms of personnel, in terms of coaches, things like that? I mean, what have you had to adjust as a result of where we're at with this pandemic?
Obviously, we have to follow the safety procedures and not using a locker room, keeping stuff there. That's been really difficult to do and stuff like that. So that's been interesting. So, and then as far as we've had no players or coaches test positive for it, but we've had a few come close. All of a sudden they're gone for a couple of days just to be on safe side, and that's difficult. And we've kind of threw away the if you miss practice, you miss playing time this year rule because it's better to be gone. If a kid had in regular year, if they had a little sniffle or cold, come to practice, tough it out. Now it's like not a chance, stay home. So we're kind of throwing that out. That's been the hard part. We're also have a senior start. Coach, my dad was near somebody who had COVID. I got to stay 2 days. We're like, okay, see you Friday at the game. Those have been the difficult parts.
So, first 2 weeks, first week opening win up in Hibbing, and then the next week down in North Branch with a loss. I mean, how has the season gone in your mind in terms of what your expectations were coming in and how the guys have responded and played in the first 2 weeks?
They're about where I thought they would be. I wish we would have had a better showing at North Branch, obviously. I thought we played really well in Hibbing. And I think we could have scored more points in Hibbing and made a bigger, oh my gosh, we could have scored 30, 40 points. But we really tried to get a lot of kids in there. We're pretty thin this year, so we need to build depth. And we're trying to limit the injuries to starters and things like that. So that was always good to get a lot of kids in there. And then we went down to the North Branch. I know the score was embarrassing, a little bit losing by 40, but we looked at it as it was 6 plays. We gave up a kickoff on the opening kickoff where 2 guys crashed inside when they knew they were supposed to. Then offensively, we had about 5 or 6 plays. We showed the kids if we got our head on the other side of a defender, if we would have just carried up the stake a little bit more or caught the ball, real simple things. The outcome would have been different. I'm not saying we would have won the game, but I don't think it would have been a 40-point spread. I think it would have been a much more competitive one. So I don't think the score was indicative of how well we can possibly play. But that also shows the competition we play. If we don't bring our A game, we're going to get smoked by everybody. So we got to play really hard every night.
So you talked a little bit about the depth issues that we have this year, the numbers of players. But who are, as Rails fans watch the games, who are the players that are going to be kind of the leaders and carrying the load this year for the Rails?
Well, we started on the offensive side. You have Trevor Lindbergh, who is a Division III signee down at River Falls, our running back, a big horse for us. And our offense really revolves around him as we do a lot of play act, things like that, but we got to get that running game first. And then if you go to you got a senior returning quarterback and Evan Chichalsky threw 3 touchdowns the first week. Our offensive line have Spencer Smith, I think, is a 3-year starter now for us there. And a nice surprise for us has been Alex McPhee, who's been a running back. And this summer we asked him, we're like, hey, you want to play offensive line or be a backup running back? And he said, I'll play O-line. He might be arguably our best offensive lineman through the first 2 weeks. So that's been really nice there. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have the Jolabrook twins on either side of the field for us. With that, and John Warner stepped in nicely to play at corner. So all of our seniors have quite a bit in that, so it's nice to see.
So looking at obviously later season, colder weather, how have you guys been able to adjust to the fact that, you know, this is typically when you're ending, you're winding down the season and you're kind of just going, and we got all the snow now. I mean, what impact is that going to have on your preparation and in preparation of teams in the area?
So for us, fortunately, we have the indoor facility on North Boundary Avenue for us. So we've been in there the last 2 days, and we have it set up with the athletic director. I think we're going to practice in there pretty much the remainder of the year, just because, like you said, at this time of the year, normally you're out in the snow a little bit, but they're very short practices. You're just kind of going through some stuff, preparing. But in this case, this time of year, we're only 2 games in. We're still trying to put in new things. We still want to do tackling drills. We want to do blocking drills. And it's difficult when the kids are more worried about staying warm for 2 hours than, making sure that their form's right. So being inside, it's nice. The only thing I guess that the coaches are worried about, are we going to be active? But I guess I'd rather take a 2-hour, 3 2-hour practices a week that we get something done and kids are concentrating and doing well, and then we'll adjust to game time. Plus, we're from Minnesota, so we should be used to it.
So tonight's game, Cloquet, team 2-0 coming in, always a strong program. What are some things that that are going to be a challenge for you and the team tonight, and how are you going to, I guess, address that?
So obviously their depth, they're well coached, they're fast, big, strong. They have a nice program going on there. Tom Lenars has worked there, I think, 15, 16 years now, and the last 4 or 5 years, you can really see the fruits of his labors turn around there. They have a nice coaching staff. So they present a lot of problems, size, speed, depth, things that we don't have. But we talk about we need one play at a time. Can you take them at one play? And really try and do that and concentrate and execute on those things. So that's what we've been preaching to kids this week. And, we talk about a lot of things of what control. You can't control how big they are. You can't control how fast they are. You can control how fast you go. You can control your preparation. And that's what we've been harping on them. The coaches are taking that lead too of we're preparing the best we can. We watch our film, we put the kids in the best position possible tonight. So, we're going to take it one play at a time, as the old saying goes, and see what happens.
And I know, talking to Anthony Wood, our activities director, they're out there plowing the field right now, getting it ready. Talking to you the other day, you mentioned adding snow.
Yeah. Tom Lenars, the Cloquet coach, and I are good friends, and they're so fast. And he was texting me on Tuesday, I think, about getting the field plowed, and I was like, opposite. I'm going to have the city of Proctor put it on the field. I mean, it's about the only way we're going to slow Cloquet down. So yeah, I talked to Anthony this morning, and they are plowing. And I said, well, at least can you plow out all the Cloquet sideline and that. So we have a good time with Cloquet coaches. They're about a good group of guys. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get my way getting the field more snow, but we'll see. We'll be all right.
So keys to success tonight for the Rails to come out on top. What are a couple things that have to happen?
Well, first and foremost, I think every football coach has turnovers. When we played Hibbing, we didn't have a turnover. When we played North Branch, we had 4 turnovers. 60-point swing. We win by 20, we lose by 40. Well, that's going to be a huge key tonight, is limiting our turnovers and trying to get a couple out of there. I know watching the film for Cloquet, they have a tendency to maybe put the ball on the ground a little bit, and I'm sure their coaches are working on that, but that could be a key for us as well. It's going to be cold. With that, might be conducive to more turnovers and balls being slipped around and that. So that's going to be the key for us. And the other one is to limit our 3 and outs. I know Cloquet has really good defense, but if we can get a couple first downs every drive with that, and even just flip the field every once in a while, that'd be great. I know against North Branch, that was one of our problems. We had 10 3 and outs or less. So that absolutely kills you when we can't get a first down. And that goes back to the little things that we watched on film of, we dropped a couple passes in the flats, or we outran our pulling guard or something like that. So we had opportunities to move the ball against North Branch. Tonight, we just really have to make sure we take advantage of those opportunities we get.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us here in our pregame Coach's Corner. This Coach's Corner brought to you by Troy Service Center. And coming up here is kickoff, Rails versus Lumberjacks. We'll be back after this.